We're back, people, and today we're breaking down film on the Miami Dolphins defense versus the Bills in the playoff game, and it ended up being a lot closer than people expected, which made it super exciting, but it also made the loss more devastating at the end because I didn't have super high expectations going into the game. But the defense really kept them in this one. The defense was playing very well, obviously not perfect, but created a lot of turnovers, which led to pretty much all of the Dolphins' offensive points, except for one drive. Like, all the other scores were all for the defense getting great field position or scoring a defensive touchdown. The defensive line created so much pressure, and honestly, I thought they were the better team in this game. The Bills are one of the best teams in the NFL, but in this game, it really looked like the Dolphins were playing at a higher level overall, and they just had some mental mistakes, some mistakes offensively where they missed on some big plays. And if Tua was playing, I just feel like they win this game pretty easily. So let's get right into this one. So the Dolphins come out right away, give up some big plays early. Bills drive on the first drive here, but then you just saw Duke Riley have a nice play spying Josh Allen, creating this 4th and 3, and the Bills tried to go for it. And Dolphins ran a lot of cover 0, a lot of cover 1 early in this game, and the Bills picked it apart for the most part, but there was some success that came out of it. Not a Boyer's best game, but he did change things up, which gave the Bills some different looks, which created some big-time turnovers, so you got to give him some credit there. They try to get the ball out to Beasley in the flat. They have him stacked over to put Kohu in a tough position, making this very difficult for him to get to the outside. But Josh Allen, it's a tough throw from the far hash, basically to the sideline, and he just misses it. Kohu plays it at least decently enough to where this has to be a very good throw for this to be converted, and they get a stop on 4th down early. So a lot of big time plays that happened against them because of the style of defense that they play, cover 1, cover 0. They give up some big plays from time to time, but it also led to creating some big turnovers. Like, once they mixed it up and started bringing pressure just with 4, Phillips, Chubb, Wilkins, Sealer, they all had big time pressures, sacks, turnovers. Like, this next 2-play sequence is very Dolphin of them. They get a perfect time cover 1 blitz by Jerome Baker on a 2nd and 8, which turns it into a 3rd and 15, and then you probably know what happened next. But really nice timing here from Jerome Baker. This is where his value is at his most. Said it all season long, is as a blitzer. Like, this is one area where the Dolphins do need to upgrade next season, is the off-ball linebacker core. Baker could stick around if he gets restructured. Landon Roberts would be a nice guy to have as a depth piece, but you need to see Channing Tindall take the next step, become a starter next season, and then they need to add a stud next to him, because the off-ball linebacker position has been by far the weakest on the defense. But this is a good rep by Baker. They get the perfectly timed blitz here. The guard is pulling here as well, so the center has to come out, get to him, and Baker dips that shoulder, reduce the surface area where he can get your hands on your chest, and then he gets his hips around, points it towards the quarterback, and gets a sack on Josh Allen. So really nice play there from Jerome. Unfortunately, the Dolphins go cover 0 on 3rd and 15. I understand what Boyer's trying to do. Most people would be like, you're insane to run cover 0 on 3rd and 15. But honestly, when they've deep dropped in zone on 3rd and 15, they've given it up too. So I don't really know what the plan is. Sometimes I still wouldn't go cover 0. It's just too risky. People will put this on Xavier Howard, say he's washed, and yes, this has been X's worst season by far. But this play specifically, 3rd and 15 cover 0, he is this many yards off. He's just kind of sitting on this, thinking they're going to throw it to the sticks, and if they can't get to him while Stephon Diggs runs, a go route, gets 50 yards, this is on the defensive front for not getting pressure in 0. Honestly, they blocked cover 0. The Bills O-line blocked cover 0 better than they did when the Dolphins just brought 4 or 5. When they tried bringing 6, it just wasn't working. They blocked it up really well. They would have a tight end staying to block. They had a running back come across to get Eric Rowe, and then they just had this blocked up perfectly to this side. It looks like, Holland might come in free, but they just slide to the right, have a tight end back on this side, and the running back also comes back and just blocks it up perfectly, and Allen has enough time to hit Diggs deep. Then after that, Skylar Thompson's first interception, it leads to another Bills touchdown. So this one, not really, obviously you like to see the defense get a stop, but it was this really bad pass from Skylar Thompson. I know, I don't want to harsh on the kid too much, but I did see some people saying he had a decent game. I've watched it. It was not a decent game. It was a lot of indecisiveness. getting out of the pocket too early. He did have a lot of pressure on him though, so I mean the whole offense really struggled. Like things were schemed open. Skylar made a few good passes, and the few good passes he did make were dropped, so it was just not a great offensive effort. But right here, they run a great play by the Bills. They actually run this later in the game, and the Dolphins stop it to Jalen Phillips' side. But this time, they just run like the guard tackle, looking like it's going to be like a counter read type play with the quarterback. And the quarterback looks like he's going to follow up the blocks, and this is where Ingram gets stuck because usually the run goes to the pulling O-lineman like this, but then they have it just go out to James Cook, and he just has too much speed. Atlanta Roberts can't get to him. 3rd and 2, Dolphins go cover 0 again. This just was not working in the first half. They just had to. It was way better when they brought like 4 or 5 guys getting pressure, just allowing Jalen Phillips to get his one-on-one. But when you go cover 0 like this, if they don't get there instantly, the Bills had this blocked up perfectly every time. Look how many people are coming. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys are blitzing, and they're not able to get there. They block this up perfectly. Then he hits Diggs. I mean, no one's even covering Shakir. He hits Diggs behind it. Like, this is not on X. Like, the blitz has to get there quicker. This is the most impossible. Like, this is the hardest thing to do in the NFL is, as a corner, is cover 1, cover 0 with no help. And they have that much time. Like, way too much time when you're bringing more guys and they have to block. Right here, big play in the game because Dawson Knox should get a touchdown, but he ends up dropping it. Initially ruled a touchdown, but ends up hitting the ground right there. Hard to see from this angle, but you guys probably saw it live. They bring cover 0 again. They bring it from the pressure to Josh Allen's left, which creates this big hole. Once the running back takes on the linebacker, Allen is able to escape, finds Dawson Knox wide open in the end zone, but is fortunately not completed. Bills had a couple plays like this. So did the Dolphins. Bills both had some big missed opportunities on some drops. But yeah, was a fortunate play for the defense. Obviously, this right here will be the last defensive film breakdown of the season because it's their last game. I'll have the offensive film breakdown drop tomorrow. And then after this, I'm probably going to do some individual players, their full season film. I'm going to do some draft guys. And then when free agency rolls around, I'll do free agents that they pick up. If there's any players specifically you want to see, just let me know down in the comments section, and I will get to those guys. Right here, they bring pressure again. Bills slide to the left. So Baker ends up dropping. That's how this works. They slide to the left. Baker drops. And then it's supposed to, it gets Holland free. This time it does. But Allen is able to recognize this because he looks to his left initially. So he sees Holland coming in free. Later, this happens where Rowe gets in free for that fumble return for a touchdown. But Josh Allen was looking to his right, so he never saw him until the last second. This time he sees Holland coming off the edge. And then he has this huge lane to the right. Don't maintain the rush lane, but fortunately, a dropped. This time, they do things a little differently. They don't just have everyone line up on the line, go cover 0. This time, they still do play man-to-man, but they're bracketing people down in the red zone. They only bring 5. So this time, things aren't open initially because you have more guys back in coverage, so you have a little, better understanding. They have Diggs bracketed right here. Out on the outside, they actually do have someone, they have, I think Kohu is basically covering 2 people. Fortunately, Josh Allen's not looking here right away because Crossan gets caught up looking to Diggs, so they kind of have 3 guys looking towards Diggs. Kohu is out here covering 2 people, but they get pressure initially. Jalen Phillips was abusing this right tackle. He had so many pressures in this game. He was getting around this edge. He looks like I'm going to do a full film breakdown on him because he was dominant, especially in these last few weeks. Had a great season. Love the hustle he plays with, but he forces this initial pressure. This is why I see people saying pressures, they don't mean anything. Dolphins fans, they don't pressures are huge because of what they can create. This pressure right here forces Josh Allen to initially escape the pocket, which then they actually keep their rush lanes this time. Elijah Campbell comes up to Phil because he's the spy as well, and then Sealer, Wilkins, Chubb, they all converge on him, and then they get a sack, and then they force a field goal. It was after that drive right there where the Dolphins got that big play, where the Dolphins went more and more away from cover 0 type looks, bringing a bunch of people. They still ran it from time to time, but it was mostly mixing up some zone drops, some zone blitzes, still getting cover 1 mixed in there. And then here we get the Xavier Howard interception, a huge turning point in the game, one of the biggest turning points for sure. They actually go cover 3 here. They try to get Josh Allen off the play action. He actually has a pretty clean pocket here, and they basically try to get Sale behind this, a deep corner right here to Josh Brown, and then they bring Knox behind it. But they actually do a really good job. Holland breaks on this Knox one. This is his initial read. Usually this is open versus the Dolphins because they don't really have a safety, because Holland is cheating to this side of the field, kind of expecting this. They've actually run this against the Dolphins in previous weeks before, because the deep third corner goes with this deep right here, and then either this flat defender has to take this away, but he's got this crossing route to threaten him up front. It's a really well-designed play, but Holland is able to close, so Allen pumps it, tries to throw it just deep over the top, and Xavier Howard gets a huge pick. This is also the same play where Josh Allen, was trying to cheap shot Christian Wilkins, and then Wilkins just blocked him, and then that turned into the Bills O-line just jumping him. So it was good to see Wilkins getting in their head. He's always in he's always in these Bills players' head, but honestly, kind of a punk move by Josh Allen and the Bills O-line. And I don't know how they called 2 personal fouls, like one on each team. I don't understand that at all, because Wilkins did literally nothing wrong in that play. Wilkins could do some things wrong from time to time. He's usually causing some trouble, but on that play, he did things cleanly. This time, Dolphins mixing up pressure looks. They show 5 guys here at the line of scrimmage, but not only 4 end up coming. They still have Elijah Campbell spying. That's what they're playing this game. They have Elijah Campbell spy. Javon Holland is like your cover 1 deep safety, but he's kind of helping bracket Stephon Diggs. And then you're having Baker cover the running back out of the backfield. And then they were allowing Phillips and Chubb to basically just come off the edge and do what they wanted, have a little more freedom. And then Wilkins and Sealer on the inside had to maintain their rush lane and not go too hard. This is why Wilkins and Sealer didn't have a bunch of pressure from time to time this season, is Phillips, they unleash him off the edge. They force Allen to step up, and Wilkins and Sealer do a really good job here. Right here, he gets the outside leverage of the offensive lineman. And then Sealer, same thing, his hat, outside leverage of him. So Allen, instead of trying to break outside, he goes to the inside, and once they see this, they peel off of it, almost like this is basically 2-gapping versus the run, and that's what they're doing versus the pass. And then Campbell also there to help with the spy, and then they get a technical sack there as well. They do the same thing the very next play, but this time they chip Phillips, so Phillips isn't able to get there, and then Chubb is the one who gets the initial pressure. This was it ends up being a drop because the ball hits the ground and moves, so he doesn't control it all the way to the ground. But they go cover 1 basically again, but Holland isn't playing deep middle of the field. He's basically bracketing Diggs over here, who's right here, and this puts Kohu in a very tough spot to cover vertically, no help over the top and man-to-man on Shakir. Chubb actually does a good job getting around the edge, but Josh Allen steps up just in time, and there's no one this time to get initial pressure or get the sack off of this, and Allen makes a beautiful throw. Kohu in a very tough spot here. This is the nature of playing this defense. Sometimes you're going to get the sacks, and sometimes you're going to give up the big play. Fortunately, this one was dropped. Kohu does make a big-time play, though, after that getting beat there. I mean, it ended up being dropped, but it would have been a huge play. Getting the Javon Holland interception, this was all Kohu right here, and this was a huge play in the game, because this, leads to more offensive points. I believe it led to the first offensive touchdown, and, at this point, the Dolphins had been down pretty much the whole game, only kicking field goals. They drop cover 4 here. They only bring 4 this time. Phillips, Chubb off the edge. They don't get immediate pressure. Phillips was peeling off back to the inside right here, but they drop Kohu right here is the flat defender in quarters. He gets out to the edge. He's matching Beasley the whole time. They're running just like a version of quarter match. Once he sees 2 work vertically, he just matches it, syncs with this perfectly. Really good mirror and match ability. Gets his head turned around, stays physical too, and then perfect timing at the catch point. Play the ball, and then it bounces into Javon Holland's hand. Great job by Holland being there, being ready. We're basically bracketing John Brown here. He closes on the John Brown just in case he were going to throw it. He was there to make a play there, and then doesn't give up as well to get over to Beasley, and then gets the pick. So really nice play there from Kohu and Holland, really. And Crossan, too. Really good work from Crossan on this return. Holland slows down. He gets the block on Brown and then holds it. Allows Holland to honestly get an extra 10 yards on his return. But I knew after the Dolphins scored very quickly after that, and they gave him 30 to 40 seconds in 2 timeouts, I knew the Bills were going to go down and get a field goal, at least an attempt. They go cover 2 here off the rip, but they have a very nice cover 2 beater because Rowe, this deep half safety, He's supposed to help to the deep out here, but he gets threatened by the seam bender from Dawson Knox, so he gets moved just enough. What he's got to do is kind of leverage both of these routes, stay over the top, knows he has some help to the inside, because the linebackers can make this a hard throw and then get there, but then he gets too far inside leverage. The corner is a flat defender. He probably should be carrying this a little bit, but it's a very difficult spot for him to be in, and they get the ball to Gabe Davis over the top. So after they get that field goal at the end of half, the first play of defense, I was screaming so loud when this happened live, not going to lie. Zach Sealer gets his first touchdown, I believe, which honestly, great for him. This time, the Dolphins need to do this more often. Like, it's fine to bring pressure, but when you're doing it the same way every time, whether that be cover 0, cover 1, basically the same looks, the same principles every single time, it's not going to work. This time, they bring a pressure on zone. They basically drop into a cover 3 type of look, but they're matching on the back end, so like, he works vertically, so he goes to the flat right here, so he matches this. This guy works vertically, so Kohu matches this. And they actually have, if Josh Allen was looking to his left and recognized pressure, they had this out in the flat. But his first initial read right here is to the right. So this play is all on Josh Allen. He has to be able to recognize that he's hot and then get the ball out to your hot route, which would have been right behind the safety blitz. But he looks to the right initially. They're sliding the whole line to the right, and then Rowe comes in free, gets the strip sack. And he wouldn't have been a strip sack if Josh Allen didn't try to break the tackle, if he just went down immediately. But sometimes he just tries to do too much. And they slide to the right. Everyone slides to the right. So Dawkins is now put in where he has to either choose between Phillips, which he makes the correct decision because you got to choose the inside guy. But Rowe comes in. He doesn't see it. Gets the strip. And Zach Sealer rumbling, tumbling into the end zone. Javon Holland had a really good game. This is a high-level play in cover 1. They go play action, trying to hit the deep crosser to Knox here. And this is a position where, safeties can be pulled out because they basically have a clear out route here from Brown to attack vertically, but doesn't get too far to the outside, kind of keep Holland deep over the top. And Holland is reading this, putting himself into a position where he's in position. If they do throw it deep, he probably can get there on this vertical. But if they throw it here on the deep crosser, because they're running a dig behind it as well. This is also good coverage, I believe, from X. But Holland closes. You see that range at the catch point, and he doesn't just try to destroy him. A lot of safeties here, they try to dislodge this ball by destroying him, and then they get a penalty defenseless receiver. But he just gets to the catch point and just plays through the hands with his hit, and then knocks the ball out. So high level play there from Javon Holland. Very next play, they go cover 1 again. Khalil Shakur beats Crossan off the line here. They, put Crossan in a tough spot here. He gets rubbed by the tight end. He runs into him, so it creates this natural separation for Shakir. But Christian Wilkins, I believe, either gets a hand on the ball or kind of hits Josh Allen's hand as it's going out. I think he forces basically this errant throw by Josh Allen, gets it over the top, and they get the stop on 3rd and 7. This right here is the Jalen Phillips drive. Jalen Phillips just makes a huge play. He forces Josh Allen to misread this. I remember Roma on the broadcast saying they ran the wrong play, or Josh Allen didn't hold on to the ball. I mean, he's reading this. They literally ran this earlier in the game and handed it off to the running back. So this isn't the O lineman running the wrong play, or Josh Allen made the wrong decision. It's he has a read here, counter read basically. But he sees Phillips and he thinks Phillips is going to initially come down because his momentum's carrying him towards Josh Allen. But he changes directions last second and then gets a 5-yard loss. He saw this coming earlier in the game. They adjusted. Great job there from 15. I've just one of my favorite players to watch on this team. And next play, Dolphins go into a quarters look, and Phillips just beats the right tackle again. He forces Josh Allen to dump this out into the flat. They only get a few yards out of it off the 2nd and 15, so you definitely take this. They even bring a tight end to his side, which he releases to the outside here, which forces Jalen Phillips to work this counter, speed to power back to the inside. And look at, because he's been winning off the edge with speed all day, and he recognizes that he's not going to be able to do that on this play with the tight end. And he uses speed to power, uses that long arm to open this O-line up to the inside, and then creates the pressure, forces Josh Allen to get it out quickly. Chubb also did a good job winning on the other side. Chubb, I think, had a tougher matchup against 73 here, but he also did a pretty good job creating some pressure. This could be a deadly duo. I know some people are down on Chubb, but maybe he sticks around for a while. He did have a decent season for them once he, is in the system or in a new system, probably with a new defensive coordinator, him and Phillips could be a really, really nice combo to have. Then the next play after that, they chip Phillips again, and he still is the one that gets the initial pressure on Josh Allen. Like, they're bringing two people to block him. It forces this throw. Good play by Howard to stick with this as well. On the backside, Josh Allen doing Josh Allen things, throwing across his body like that. But they have James Cook to Phillips' side, and he still wins around the edge versus the right tackle. Bends those hips. You can see the bend that he has, flexibility, forces Josh Allen out of the pocket. You have Campbell here as the spy. With having a spy, Phillips has more freedom to just do what he wants. Chubb shows some good hustle here. It just forces Josh Allen to throw this back across his body, and that's a very, low percentage throw to make. It's a 3rd and 8, and honestly, this was just a really good play call by the Bills, setting up the QB draw. They basically motion out I believe that's Nyheim Hines actually, but right here the linebacker is in this gap and they motion him out, so he's in man-to-man, and this just leaves this wide open and has all this room, and the only person who pretty much can make a play from this spot is one of the safeties, or Phillips, coming off this, but there's just too much room, and Phillips is able to get a little bit on him, but it's just not enough, and no one else is there to get the tackle, and Josh Allen is a big dude, and when he has that much momentum, he's gonna, carry that on for a first down. Just a great play call by the Bills, honestly. Then they give, a 0 look again, but they kind of drop out of it, but it didn't matter. They show 0 pre-snap. Whenever they showed 0, big plays pretty much happened for the offense. And right here, technically Kohu is man-to-man on Cole Beasley, but they motion him to the inside, and they basically just rub this. The receivers are blocking the other two DBs. No one can get down to this into the flat. Howard tries to get off of it. Kohu tries to get over the top. I don't know who they're going to, count that touchdown against, probably Kohu. But, the receivers are blocking. It's just a great play call as well. Kohu has no chance. Howard tries they try to pass this off. Because once they're in this position, they kind of have to pass this off. Howard is tries to get to the outside, but he's getting blocked by Stephon Diggs. I probably should have been called offensive pass interference, to be honest. At this point in the game, the Dolphins are only down 4. It's 34-30. This is a 3rd and 10. And surprisingly, the 2 plays before this, they tried to they threw 2 deep verticals to Gabe Davis. One, Kohu had a nice pass deflection. The other one, Crossan was in good position, and he just overthrew him. This time, they get the sack. They go cover 1, bring some pressure. They cover things up pretty well in the back end there, as you can see, and it just forces Josh Allen to try to escape. He sees this open lane, tries to come down. Elijah Campbell was kind of the spy, but he blitzes over the top here. And then Zach Sealer and Melvin Ingram actually do a really good job peeling off their blocks. Ingram gets the first hand on him to slow him down, and Sealer, I think, ends up getting the sack officially. But so really nice job just peeling off their blocks. I believe Holland was ready to come down as well. I think he might have been the spy on this play. They brought Elijah Campbell to make it look like there was no spy, and then Holland would have come down and made a play. So just really nice execution there from the defense on the cover 1 type of play call. Play right here was just a dagger for the team. Okay, 3, 2, 1. This was a 3rd and 1, and this one was kind of just a dagger. They do get the ball back because of a big play, but this just changes field position because it gets them to punt around midfield after this, and they go cover 0 again, and they just don't get pressure. This is such a tough ask for the DBs. They have the linebackers playing in zone. Everyone's just spying over the middle. Basically cover 0 with robbers, and there's no help over the top. Kohu plays this pretty well too. He's in a very good position, great over the top, perfect leverage, plays this, and he's right here, leans into the receiver, and the receiver just, honestly, Khalil Shakir does get away with a push-up here, because look how he's leaning into him and then pushes off and creates that separation last second. It was a subtle play, really high-level play by Shakir, and they just don't call it. Probably should be OPI, but I just don't like how they went cover 0 again. I know it was a 3rd and 1 situation, and they thought they had to make a big-time stop, but that puts your DBs in such a tough spot, and they get away with a little bit of a push-off as well. This is the last play that I'm going to break down, the big Bradley Chubb sack, because after this, offense turns it over, and then they just run the ball for that first down. Was a questionable spot, probably would have been a 4th and inches type play, but right here, Bradley Chubb coming off the edge makes the biggest play. If they had won this game, the whole Bradley Chubb trade probably would have been worth it just for this strip sack right here. As you know, I don't really trading first round picks unless it's for super, super high level players. I'm a draft guy, so I don't like trading first round picks in general. So I do think Chubb is a good player. Right here, he works the cross chop. slaps those hands down, is able to then rip underneath and then bend, some nice ankle flexion. Look at this body lean right here. Like, look at his positioning. Usually if you see a guy like this, you think they're going to fall down, but he's able to get to that hand. Good awareness to play through that. Unfortunately, these fumbles, other than the one strip sack by Rowe, they had a fumble on a punt return. Josh Allen fumbled a few times in this game, and they just couldn't get them. Like, they never, I swear to God, like, how many times has a punt returner fumbled, and the Dolphins just have not recovered? I swear that's happened so many times this season. But right here, another strip sack. They just, unfortunately, if they recover this, they have a very high chance of winning. Like, ball around midfield. But then they punt from here, and then Skyler. Obviously, I'll get to the whole clock mismanagement thing tomorrow with McDaniel, Skylar Thompson, the whole offense making mistakes in the breakdown. But I give my respects to this team overall, and especially to the defense. They played at such a high level effort-wise, and they gave up a lot of points, but that's expected versus Bills offense. But they also scored a lot of the points for the team. So great, relentless, scrappy effort from the defense. They weren't super strong all season long, but towards the end, they turned up and helped get the team into the playoffs, and then almost won them a playoff game where they were down to a third-string quarterback. The O-line was decimated. They had injuries across the board. Like, their whole secondary is hurt. So next season, I know some people might not be too optimistic, but I think, you get some guys back. They can draft well with their 5 picks, add some guys in free agencies, restructure some things, add some off-ball linebackers, maybe add probably like a Gesicki go, add a tight end that fits the system a little bit better. They have the receivers. Tua can be healthy. This is a team that could be dangerous next season. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.